Hi and welcome to Rose Red Homestead, where our community focuses on self-reliance, food security, and emergency preparedness. And before we get into today's video, I just want to say a very special thank you to the members of our community that made comments on our most recent video where we intended to go outside and show how to do gardening in a drought, only to discover once we got out there that we had had a freeze the night before. We later found out it was down to 27 degrees and we lost a lot of our tomatoes and basil and other things. And I was reacting to that right on the video and got kind of emotional. Thank you so much for all of you who commented and provided words of encouragement and suggestions, and then shared your own stories, which were also very heartbreaking. It is amazing to me the different types of stressful weather that so many of us are having in different parts of the country. One of our commenters said that she would like to pack up the rain they're getting and sending it to us because her garden is completely waterlogged and her plants are dying because of root rot. And so we are all facing lots of different types of problems, which can lead to creative problem solving, which I hope we can also share. Our community is wonderful that way, and we appreciate you all so very much. We are going to continue today with our efforts in dehydrating and freeze-drying vegetables. Today we're going to focus on carrots, and there are some special things about carrots that I want to share with you, and we'll get to that in just a moment. One of the things about carrots, before we got our freeze dryer, was that every time that I tried to dehydrate carrots, not only do they just fade and almost become whitish and less appetizing, but dehydrated carrots are like rock hard. Oh, you may notice that our set looks a little bit different today, and that's because we are shooting from a different bar. Our regular bar is right over here, and it has that big sun splotch from the overhead skylights. And so we're shooting on this bar instead. So the problem with carrots, color, and also they come out hard as rocks. Now, that's okay if I'm going to be dropping them in soups and stews, what I usually do with dehydrated carrots. And that's why I do them in this particular size. And because, you know, I just love to peel carrots, and we don't grow them in our own garden. I can't get them to grow. I've tried unsuccessfully several times. That's why I buy the ones at the store that are already peeled. So we're going to be using these. Now I'm going to be running a little experiment today. One of the things that I have never done before when I've dehydrated carrots is I have never blanched them before. So I'm going to try that today. So I'm going to dump these right in here. And these are fresh carrots. So here we go. Here they are in here. And I have my pot of water over here. And so I'm going to just put them in here. And once that water comes back to a boil, then I'll blanch them for about 3 minutes. Another part of our experiment is that these are carrots that I bottled in 2015, so they're 6 years old. And I know that most people think we should rotate through things in a year or a year and a half. Anything under 10 years is pretty much good with me. We don't usually keep things that long, but I did find 3 bottles of carrots from 2015 when I was rummaging around in our shelves the other day. So these have already been pressure canned, and I thought, okay, so if I'm looking to preserve the color, then I'm going to try some of these. Now, the downside to this is that they've already lost food value through the canning process. They're going to lose a little bit more when I dehydrate them. So will they still be any good at all? Well, yeah, they will be. They'll be okay. And this is an experiment, so I'm just going to check. So I'm going to step over to the sink and drain these and just let them drain for a moment. Okay, now I'll just spread these around, and these of course are already very soft. And what I'm looking for is a nice orange color. One of the things that I want to do is I want to make vegetable powders. And so I'm trying different ways of doing different vegetables to see which yields the easiest powder to process. Now we have a batch right now out in the freeze dryer. And you've seen us put things in the freeze dryer before. So since we started at an unearthly hour, that process, I didn't take you out there, but we will go out there when they finish. They should be finished in just a little while. So we're actually going to do this video in a couple of segments. The segment on dehydrating will probably finish up in the morning because these will have to dehydrate overnight. The part about the freeze-dried carrots, which I'm hoping, I've not powdered freeze-dried carrots yet, so that's the experiment on that end. So we will be back in just a moment when these have been blanched and are ready to put out on the shelves. I have just finished blanching these, and notice I've drained them and the color is still intact. So let's see how we're going to do. Now they're hot, so I'm going to be careful and not be too anxious to touch them. And I don't quite have a full dehydrator full with these, so I'm just going to really spread them out. Because they're in this round tube shape, they're going to take longer to dehydrate than these will over here that I have canned. And so we're prepared for that. We know we're just going to have to wait. Now these are not anywhere near done. They're still just as hard as can be. We have filled all 6 trays. And I'm going to put these in the dehydrator, and we'll come back with the dehydrated portion of this video probably first thing in the morning after they are done. Meanwhile, I've just checked the freeze-dried carrots that are still processing, and they are on the last portion of the final freeze. So we should be back in a couple of hours or so to do the freeze-dried portion. Well, it is the next day, and sadly we did not film taking these carrots out of the freeze dryer last night because I kept going out there and we would test them and they weren't done, and so we kept having to add more time and add more time. It ended up taking about 27 hours to freeze dry these carrots, and since part of our experiment was color, you can see that, and these were not blanched, they just went in raw and they've come out pretty white. But they're very orange on the inside. And so I'm going to set a couple to rehydrate here so we can take a look at that. But mostly I have these for making carrot powder for a project that I'm doing that I will be doing a video on at some point. So that's kind of the story here, and we'll do some powdering of this in just a minute. Then we come to the dehydrated carrots. Now this top tray was the carrots that I had previously pressure canned, and Jim looked at these and said, kibbles and bits. So it looks like dog food. I am not going to keep these. They already have so little food value that if I were to put them in soups and stews and cook them some more, it would just be almost down to zero. It would just be bulk and not any kind of food value. And these little things are as hard as rocks. And so these I'm going to discard. But it's good to know that they did keep their color. So I'll set these aside, and now we can see the other trays here and what the dehydrated little tubes of carrots looked like. And so these are better, and since I did blanch these have kept their color better. I'm so pleased with this, so this is great. Now I could powder these, but what is happening to my Vitamix as I powder these really, really hard veggies is that it's cutting into the plastic, especially at the bottom, and we can almost hear that when it hits the side. So since I have the option of powdering freeze-dried carrots, that's what I'm going to choose to do. So instead, these, what I'm going to do is, I love these, and they will be wonderful additions for soups and stews. And if we think about this, remember those big bags of carrots? They were big, and they had to be under refrigeration, and ultimately they would spoil. But now we have removed the water from them, and they can be stored kind of almost indefinitely, but not really, because they say that we should use dehydrated foods within the first year or so. But I use them beyond that all the time, and they are just fine. So I like to use these off-size jars for my dehydrated food. I think this one is like 24 ounces. These originally were full of spaghetti sauce, and since they are mason jars, they work just fine for canning, but I prefer to use them for just the dehydrated food. So those carrots, probably about one bag of those carrots, then can fit in this 24-ounce jar. I will vacuum seal this. Oh, look at this one, a long one. I'll vacuum seal this, and then I can grab these anytime I want to make like beef stew or something. So this is very convenient. So I will be vacuum sealing these. So I think that that was certainly a success, and especially since the color was preserved. I have put some water in this little bowl, and I'm just going to put some carrots in there, and we'll see how well they rehydrate. These also would be just fine for soups and stews, but I'm going to powder these. So let's see, and I've never powdered carrots before, so we'll see how they do. Oh, what the heck. All right, see this grin on my face? I am very happy with this powder. Look at the color. Even though they were very white on the outside, it is beautiful orange carrot powder. So I will do this again when I need more carrot powder. I'm going to save some of these and not powder them because I want to try them in other things. So let's see how our carrots are doing. It's going to take a few minutes for them to rehydrate. So I'm going to keep powdering, and we'll come back at the point when we're done with the powdering and ready to show you the rehydrated carrots. Here we are with 4 jars of our product as a result of freeze drying and dehydrating carrots. So we have one 24-ounce jar of dehydrated carrots that will be perfect for dropping in recipes. We have another 24-ounce jar. It's up to the 20-ounce mark of carrot powder. I'm so thrilled with this. This is the most exciting thing. And then we have 2 quarts left of the freeze-dried carrots. Now these freeze-dried carrots, even though they look a little strange, they're not bad at all for a snack. They're fun, they taste good. You can still see the orange on the inside. So those work fine. Now, in terms of rehydrating, they have taken in quite a bit of water. They still feel like sponges. I think they would also work fine in cooking. I'm going to take a bite. They just are very spongy. You know, they're not bad at all. Orange on the inside again. They're a little chewy. I mean, you could not use these on a vegetable plate, but these would be fine in cooking. yeah, they have rehydrated nicely. The fiber is certainly still there. So overall, I think we've had a successful adventure with dehydrating and freeze drying these carrots. Now, I'm quickly going to vacuum seal these so they can go out on the pantry shelf. That's done. Yep. So that one's ready to go. So this is powder and it's pretty loose, and so I don't want it to come up through the hose into the machine. So I'm going to watch really carefully. If it starts, then I'll have to stop and then put a little filter on the top, coffee filter cut to size here. But I'll watch carefully. We should be okay. So that was really cool. We could see the action. It looked like earthquakes down in here. It was pulling the air from the very bottom. And the last one. So how exciting is this? This was a lovely, lovely experiment and adventure with carrots. Thanks so much for being with us, and we will see you at our next video.